right, here we go. So uh, you'll see the little blue button just to let it know that you know. I want to hide floating meeting controls. There we go. All right, so we've got a short training today, so we got a short amount of time. I'm going to keep my eye on the clock. And we're really just talking about eye contact. So we're going to hop right into it. There we go. All right, so some quick housekeeping and reminders. If you do unmute at any point to talk or ask a question, please make sure that you use no client information at all. That includes name, initials, even ages or anything like that. We want to keep that off. So if you do ask a question, make sure it's very general. Make sure your microphones are muted because of the recording. Remember that it is your responsibility to engage in the information and to think about how you can use it. If you just listen to the information, then none of us get anything from it. And you must complete the post test in order to get credit. So Ashley will send out the email with the link to the post test after the training is done at some point, probably next week, if not later. And you must complete that in order to get credit. And then I mentioned this before, but this will be the last mini training that we hold on Zoom. Going forward, they'll be on Teams. I have to figure that out. But there are a lot of videos in this training. It is primarily videos because I want to show you a lot of things. So we're going to start with the root of eye contact. So I thought it would be really valuable and very cute to watch this little baby show us about eye contact.
When a phone has truly advanced AI, it kind of speaks for itself about
Oh, no.
This community center has been around for over 10 years. We serve everyone. Congressman McKenzie's making things more difficult with these tariffs, making the price of groceries go up through the roof. Congressman McKenzie, he's out of touch. He's hurting those who are in need.
These are cute. Really? Did you have a good Christmas? Did you? Did you get everything you wanted? Was Santa good to you? Yeah? I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you had a good time. You're such a happy baby. Mommy loves you. Mama loves you. I love you. Oh, did you say I love you? I love you, sweetheart.
All right, so tiny little baby, perfect eye contact, perfect orienting. That's really the goal there. I think it's a real stretch that she thinks that the baby said, I love you. But that's where we see a lot of these behaviors, especially in typically developing children. We see them really highly reinforced. There's laughing and cooing and all these sorts of things that reinforce those instances of behavior that's closer to what should be said or is wanted to be said. So someday that can turn into more complex kind of behaviors of this. Okay. Spotlight for everyone. All right. Hopefully that works, Guy. Thank you. So we're going to watch another video. This one is more because this one shows the mother's face as well. So it shows a little bit about her behavior. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but it's pretty darn cute.
This community center has been around for over 10 years. We serve everyone.
Really pushing this
making things more difficult with these tariffs, making the price of groceries go up through the roof. Congressman McKenzie, he's out of touch. He's hurting those who are in need.
Tell me about it. Really? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Are you feeling better? Oh. Are you feeling better? You feel pretty good? Huh? You feel pretty good? Yeah.
All right, so as fun as it would be to watch
So,
that whole thing, we're going to leave it at that, just to show again that behavior of the parent or the adult oriented towards the child and doing this back and forth thing, which is where and this is where, as we're going to get a little bit into kind of the controversy about eye contact. But this is where the argument about culture really falls flat, because in all cultures, in fact, in most, caregiving mammal species, uh, you see this child and parent connection. So regardless of like if the culture later on doesn't feel that, you should look directly at the person or whatever, at the beginning in these, stages where a lot of our kids get stuck, that is where we're really developing this really beautiful nature of back and forth orienting and eye contact. So that's where I kind of wanted to start, because I wanted to show you how quick it is. Now, I'm going to show you this quickish video to highlight a lot of the concerns that are being put forward from the community. If you're on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, we're seeing a lot of really strong messages. So 2 minutes.
Hi guys, it's Bree and welcome back to All Things Autism. This week's quick tip has to do with eye contact. Guys, 20 years ago when I started my training in this field, we used to run look at me programs, eye contact programs. It was the norm. It was the norm to sit knee to knee with a child, discrete trial training, right? We had our little sheet here to take our recorded data, and it was look at me, good looking, wow, eyes on me, look. And we were trying to maintain eye contact for a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. We were moving faces. We were putting our hands on the sides of their eyes to really try to get their eyes to look at us. Guys, those days are gone. Those days are gone. I want you to really listen to people who have autism. Not all, but many who are able to describe how uncomfortable, how painful, how awkward eye contact is for them. Right? And we try to work on it. We try to maintain it because in our society, eye contact is the norm, right? It shows that I'm listening, I'm engaged, I'm having a social skill that's appropriate. So many times we think if somebody's looking away, well, then they can't possibly be hearing or listening to what we're saying. But that's not true. If you listen to people, whether it's verbally or through augmentative devices that are telling you, it's not that I'm not hearing or listening to you, it's painful for me to maintain eye contact, and it's easier for me to take in what you're saying if I'm not looking at you. Okay, I think we're doing a really good job in the profession, in the field, of getting away from requiring eye contact, right? Of like holding faces and you need to look at me in order to show you're ready. But there's also a level of respect. Respect what people are telling us. They're sharing their experiences. Listen to it. Okay, guys, if you like that tip, feel free to hit that like button, consider subscribing and sharing, and we shall. Hi, guys.
Okay, so the star popped up. I'll give you the first code word in a second, but I show you that video certainly not to endorse it. I I'm not going to say I disagree with everything she's saying, but the amount of disgust in her presentation of this is reflective, and really honestly, this is a watered down version of a lot of the things you'll see on TikTok and other real kind of sharing places about this idea of developing eye contact. And I'm really on the fence about this because, as we're going to see kind of throughout this, the importance of eye contact is tremendous. So there are things she says that she speaks about that we don't hold faces, we don't pinch chins, we don't do any of those things that were previously used. We usually don't even do a look at me program. But we're going to show you some of the ways that we can develop this over time because it is so important. So I have a really hard time listening to videos like this because they really ignore function, reinforcement. They ignore a lot of things that are kind of the reality of it. It's not just about it being uncomfortable. A lot of things are uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean we don't do them. So we'll see if I can, win you over, by the end about my thoughts about this and kind of our thoughts and the majority of ABA at this point. So your first star here, so your three code words today are some of my first, I think they were my first three cars, but some of my first cars. So number one is a Chevy Corsica. And you remember, you just have to choose, from multiple choice. So you don't have to worry about spelling it correct or anything like that. But number one is Chevy Corsica. Okay, so that was my first car. It was like a funny, like greenish blue color. Yeah. All right. So based on that last thing, should we teach eye contact? The short answer is yes. Okay. The short answer is we want the individuals working with us to have this skill. Okay. The long answer is not really. Like, you don't actually teach eye contact. You don't, we're not forcing eye contact. We're not directly promoting, we're not saying like, look at eyes, or, giving rules about you must look at a person. But yes, we are teaching it, like as we could kind of point out in the article that's shared at the end, but then also through kind of like further discussion, eye contact isn't actually really the behavior that we're talking about, because eye contact involves two people. So that's not a behavior, right? That's a response to the behavior of two people. That's something that occurs because of two people's behavior, or multiple people's behavior. So what we're really trying to teach them is to look for information, to look at the place where the information or the person we want to reinforce is. So not directly, but yes, we're still ultimately building that skill. The benefits are huge. They far outweigh the considerations that it might be uncomfortable. And that discomfort, those kind of things that people are putting out there, that's from adults who've had a long history of all kinds of social experiences, not just ABA. ABA is certainly not the only person out there who's encouraging people to look at other people. So they've got this long punishing history of having to look at people. We're looking to start earlier from a better angle, like these babies at the beginning, to build up the reinforcing nature of it. The risks of not making eye contact are huge. Okay, so far outweigh the risks of it being a little bit uncomfortable at times. And discomfort is not a reason to always stop, right? Think about exercise. If exercise isn't uncomfortable, then you're not doing it correctly. You're not actually making any gains. So we want to remember that sometimes we need to be uncomfortable. Sometimes the kids we work with need to be a little bit uncomfortable to work kind of through that so they can get the better skills. So is eye contact equal or not equal to orienting? Basically, yes. Okay. And if you can't tell if they're actually making eye contact with you, then it doesn't even matter, right? The skill is really what we want is, are they getting information, right? So we know that a lot of the information during conversation is in the face. So if they're not looking at your face, they're missing out on all kinds of things, right? And are they providing reinforcement to the speaker? Okay. So it's really not like, you can't even focus, like when you look in someone's eyes, you can really only like either look at one eye or look in the middle to kind of like generally see both of them. So like the idea of eye contact is looking someone in the eyes is not even really real anyway. So if they're looking between your eyes or at your forehead or at your chin and you can't really tell, then we're good. Right. But yeah, orienting is either the same or a step in shaping along the right direction. So what do we not do? So she mentioned some stuff we do. This picture, this could be a scene of like beauty, like, I don't know, like maybe they're in love and, he's holding her affectionately. But taken at face value, this looks gross, right? This really looks like a thing we would not want to do with another person. Like if she wanted to look away, she really couldn't. She's distressed. He's, passionate in some way or another. Okay, so we're not holding their face and angling it towards us. We're not taking the chin and pointing it towards us. If you listen to Temple Grandin talk, she says that her mother did this and she's glad she did it. But we've got better ways of doing it that make it more about the information and the reinforcing the speaker. We usually don't do classic look at me programs. Okay. We're not really taking data necessarily on that. We're not providing rules because we found that those create problems. So we've taught some kids, like when someone's talking to you, you must look at them. And so then you get the kids who stare at you while you're talking, and that's very disarming. I do not like that. Neither do you. So we don't want to provide rules like that because they can become problems later. We're not forcing eye contact in any way. We're teaching that it is just like all the skills that we're teaching them. We're teaching them how much better it could make their life. So they're going to use it naturally. Um, and we're definitely not forcing them to look at us during reprimands or demands or things like that. It follows the same rule as using kids' names, right? We don't want to use their names when we're like, when a parent's yelling at them, like, Robbie, how dare you, like then they start associating their name with bad things. So we don't want to be like, you look at me when I'm talking to you, right? So then they develop this negatively paired relationship with eye contact. So what we do is we build rapport. We make ourselves valuable, right? We're going to be like Miss Rachel. Look at all these amazing instances of eye contact. Oh, there's a double picture of her there with, I assume that's her baby. So she's either making contact with the person she's talking to in the top left, or with the camera in most of them, or with her baby. So she's showing really great eye contact. When you watch her show, she's locked with the audience, okay? So we teach that information is in the face through various methods. Okay, we build eye contact through manding. That's what we're going to show in the upcoming videos. We use differential reinforcement. Okay, so when they look at us, we're faster, better, louder. We give a better response for when they look at us. Okay, so when they orient more towards us, we're shaping that over time. And we're teaching, like scanning fields, scanning faces. That scanning ability is really what we want, because eventually the field is here, right? So if they're trying to figure out if you like what they're talking about or if you're having fun, we want them to scan your face. We don't want them to just rely. This is the danger, is that they're just going to rely on honest answers like, hey, are you having fun? And they're not looking at you. And you say, yeah, I guess, right? Well, yeah, I guess you're having fun. So let's keep doing this and we'll keep doing it. So like there is some real danger in this, whether it's right or wrong, that is kind of culturally baked in. Okay, so in these following videos, keep in mind my son Roland is the one showing the responses as the learner. Okay, his eye contact is amazing with me. So as soon as I told him, like, okay, after this one, you're going to look at me, he laser looks like right at my face. Okay, your kids aren't going to, if they're not making eye contact now, they're not going to go from no eye contact to what my son is doing. So remember, as with all things, we're shaping, we're building this response. So it might start with approaching, right? So they come over towards you and then the thing happens. They're leaning towards you and the thing happens. They're turning towards you and the thing happens. They're looking, like if you're doing tickles, they're looking at your hands. And that almost like, is probably ultimately even more what you want to see. Like they're looking at the thing that's coming. So if the information is in the tickle hands versus the face, you might want to just reinforce that. Okay. So you're looking at those closer approximations as you go. All right. Second keyword, second car was a Chevy Camaro. Okay. It was can't remember what, 1987, I believe. That wasn't the year that I got it, but it was a 1987. Very nice car. Wrecked it, ran it right into a tree. So number 2 is Chevy Camaro. All right. All right. So now we're going to look at, I think, 6 different instances of ways that this can be used. So there's my son, Roland. He's 11 years old. He did a fantastic job. So the first one is we're going to look at basically initiating part of a play chain. And at the end in the references is our play chain training, which I really think that everybody should watch that training maybe once a year. Not because it's the greatest training I've ever done, but because it is really at the heart of working with younger learners and even just kind of lower skilled learners. So you're waiting for that play chain. You're not starting the play chain. You're not doing the next one until he's going to do eye contact. But again, it might be, a closer approximation. So let's watch the tickle version.
Tickle, 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 tickle.
All right. So, I know he likes the tickles. He's anticipating it. I can see the anticipation in his body. Right? But what I'm really going for is that closer, in this case, full eye contact, right? So as soon as he looked, and I don't even think I was fast enough, right? As soon as he looks, boom, you're in. Because if you don't go fast, he might look away again, and then you tickle during the look away, which isn't the end of the world, but we would rather it happen during the, the version of the behavior that we're looking for. Whoop. That's the same one. All right, so wiggle arms. This is in the case of, and some of these are games, feel free to use. This is a Julie game. The tickle game, of course, who knows, made that up, but I don't think Julie made up wiggle arms either, but she's the one that taught me. So in this case, they have a strong man, but they're doing it without eye contact. Okay, so in this case, we're going to do the, 3 prompts and then do it. So like you wouldn't wait forever. You want to deliver it as fast as it happens. So you'll see that he doesn't make eye contact initially.
Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Okay, so we're waiting for that eye contact. As soon as the eye contact happens, then he gets the wiggle arms. It's weird video suggestions.
Wiggle.
No. All right. So this is sandwiches. This is a game that Roland and I play a lot. Okay. So this is similar to the tickles. He's really using the eye contact as the full man. And I'm waiting for that to happen. Okay. The key in a lot of these is not to wait too long, because if you wait too long, they might just walk away. The reinforcement kind of loses its value. You've kind of spent the goodness of the intervention. So you'll see that he clearly wants it. He's holding up his arm as the man, but I'm waiting for him to give me that better eye contact.
Sandwiches? Does somebody want sandwiches? Sandwiches? Sandwiches. Yeah, I love how you looked at me, buddy.
Okay, so I threw in some pride stuff there. Right? I know what he wants, but I'm saying sandwiches because someday he might start saying sandwiches, right? And of course, if he said like, oh, sandwiches or switches or something, right? If he said an approximation, boom, I'd be right in there, right? Because that's even better than the eye contact in this case. But so I know he likes it. I know he's holding his arm up for it, but I'm trying to get a little bit of, higher response effort before providing that. But again, don't wait too long. But yeah, I'm labeling it. And then at the end, I do some labeled praise. I love how you looked at me, right? So he may or may not understand, who knows, but I'm just labeling everything that I do. Okay. All right. This is a tiny little bit longer. This is the full itsy bitsy spider one. So this one shows you a prolonged play routine. And just like you would do with like fill-ins, you'll see places where you're going to want him to fill in the next part, but I'm not waiting for a fill-in. I'm waiting for him to complete that play chain. So in this case, I'm looking for eyes. Okay. Again, I keep saying eye contact, but really like what I want him to do is look at me, and then we're making eye contact. But again, key, don't pause too long. Don't pause too many times. Okay. And resume as soon as they look up. And, probably I'm not doing a perfect job of resuming immediately, but.
Itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
This one in particular looks a little bit like it was staged. It's staged, guys. So it usually doesn't look quite that like, perfect. So usually they're going to, they might start wandering, right? That's okay. They start wandering, pause the game for a little bit, and then start the song again when they turn towards you. Okay. So there's, like a million variations of this, but again, our focus is trying to get that looking behavior better. All right, so this is how to incorporate it with our My Way, with the PFA-SBT protocol. So Greg Hanley always says that during PFA-SBT, as soon as you can, you want to start moving towards requiring them to orient towards you during the My Way response, or whatever that mand is, because you really want them to like be ready and looking to you, not just continuing to play or whatever. So I'm going to demonstrate that in this one.
Okay, buddy, all done playing. Let's go over to the table.
My way.
My way?
My way.
My way?
My way.
Okay, you can have your way, buddy. Okay, here we go.
Right. So there I'm making a choice to echo the my way response. I'm not saying like, oh, buddy, look at me and then you can get it. We want to kind of be careful with that. You're like, but Rob, it's the same thing. It's not exactly the same thing, right? The motivation there is that I want him to mand in a way that's actually looking for the full piece of information. I want him to reinforce me as a speaker. So I'm shaping the same thing, but I want that I want the focal point to be that he figures out that looking at me is opposed to telling him he must look at me and then he looks at me and then he gets it, right? Feels very similar, but there's some nuance there that makes it different. Okay, all right. Final keyword. Don't log off yet. We have at least one more video and a couple more slides. We're almost there. Number 3, third car is also Chevy Camaro. So I got a 1988 IROC Z from my stepfather at the time. It was my favorite car of all time. I just sold it recently, kicking myself a little bit, but I just had nowhere to store it and it was aging poorly. So number 3 is also Chevy Camaro. That's your third code word. Chevy Camaro, same as the second one. Okay. All right, so this is for a more vocal learner. So shaping up kids who are talking and, chatting about stuff, but not really giving that feedback, that reinforcement to the speaker. So, and I'm doing it really naturally here. I'm not saying, hey, you should look at me when you talk to me. You could with the kid, you could say like, hey, sometimes it's good to like look at people to tell if they're listening. So you can teach some of that stuff. But here I'm using more natural indicators because I can't really hear very well when people don't look at me when they talk to me. That's part of getting older, but that is a consideration, right? It's discomfort for me to not be able to hear people.
Did you see the new 6-7 meme?
What?
The 6-7 meme.
What?
The 6-7 meme.
6-7.
So I know where he's going with it. He wants me to repeat this, meme phrase. This skibbity toilet language, So I know what he wants me to say, but I'm, whether I could hear him or not, I'm kind of giving that like, now at some point like usually we follow the 3 prompts and then just give it to them. But the faster they learn over time, like, oh, he's looking for the eye contact. If I give the eye contact, he'll reinforce what I'm saying faster. We get a lot of these kids who want us to do something, to say something or do something. So you can kind of use that as the carrot to make them, do their part of it to get their end of it. All right. And this really works very similar to name response. Okay, so Destiny's Child, say my name, say my name. Yeah, I know some of my pictures are weird, but just bear with me. So when you want them to respond to their name, you can do something very similar. Okay, so like, or you can use these protocols to kind of hand in hand. Okay. So if I say sky, right? And she doesn't look at me, I can withhold the game, right? So whether it's the tickles or the bouncing or whatever it might be. So I'm waiting for the child to look at me and then I say, yes, Sky, you looked at me, and they get the fun thing, right? So again, we're building up that when I say your name and you look at me, things get better, right? Or when I say your name and you approach, things get better. To try to move away from those other pairing. So in conclusion, okay, final slide before the references. Eye contact is not eye contact is not, that's a typo there. Eye contact is not really the target behavior that we teach directly, but through shaping, games, and modeling, we're building the attending looking that leads to eye contact as a result. Okay. So again, we're not forcing it. We're not making rules about it. We are teaching them that the world gets better when they look. That's, and again, that's really where that play chain thing comes into play, for lack of better words. And recognizing that without these skills, their chances of social success are low, right? I'm not going to say none. Right. And again, going back to like the influencers and the TikTok videos and things like that, they present like, well, the world shouldn't work this way. We shouldn't require eye contact because you listen with your ears, not with your eyes. Okay, but tell that to the majority of the population who thinks that it's rude or hurtful or dismissive, and you're also just not getting the information. Like it's hard to really understand what someone's saying if you're not looking at their face, right? It's hard to find a statistic on how much language is done non-vocally, with, body language and expression and things like that, but we can all agree that it's a lot, right? So if you're never orienting towards a person, you're missing that. Okay. And just a question here, like, would you hire a person for a job that never once looked at you during the interview? Okay. I've interviewed hundreds of people, if not probably over 1,000. I would not hire a person that didn't look at me at all during the interview. I guess it depends on the job, but that just really tells me there's going to be a lot of issues with that person and their interpersonal skills with coworkers, with me, with customers, depending on the job, right? So, does that mean that none of our kids will ever get hired if they don't make eye contact? Not necessarily, but it really decreases their chances. So it's really an important skill to kind of build through situations like this. And I missed one on a previous slide, just real quick before we go. We talked about scanning, so having them scan multiple fields, that's valuable, but also having them scan other things, right? So go check mommy's face, see if she's happy. Go check the pool and see if it's clean. Go check, go check, building up that skill. So finally, you got really one eye contact article. It's really fantastic. Dr. Espinoza wrote it just this year. And then the play chain video. Hopefully this was kind of insightful and helpful. I'm going to stop the recording now. Please look out for that post test, and thank you for attending.